Checkity check, check, check. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay, good. What is up, everybody? Back again where we're sitting here at my house, actually. It's like as I keep wanting to say to myself, it's like T-2 now. 2 days until we hit the road. Palatka, St. Johns River, first tournament of the 2022 season on the Elite. And so we're doing our fishing report for February, because I love doing these things. I love hopefully educating you guys on a few things on how to catch fish. You know, February gets a little complicated because it's the month that like half the country is frozen. Snow on the ground, ice on your lakes, the whole 9 yards. So you're sitting here like listening to my fishing tips and I'm like, and you're like, okay, come on. So the best thing I can tell you is like, look, February here in the South or the Southeast is kind of like your March or April where you are up north. So if you're like in, you know, the middle part of the country or farther north. So you know, just kind of keep that in mind. But that being said, I am literally in South Florida here at my house. I'm about to go to the mall with my wife because again, we've got 2 more days before I hit the road for like a month straight. And so we're gonna go spend some time. I'm gonna take her to dinner. We're gonna do a little shopping. We're gonna hang out a little bit. So I had to put on my mall clothes, okay? But before I left, I wanted to kind of get with you guys and talk February fishing tip. So first of all, I wanna say thank you. And we also have, we're gonna drop on the screen right now, the winners from last month. We're giving away the mystery tackle boxes. So the winners from last month are gonna win these boxes. We're gonna send them out to you guys. So all you gotta do is drop a comment below. McCoy will get in touch with you very, very soon. So thank you so much for everybody that drops comments in these videos. And if you wanna win 4 boxes of mystery tackle box, that's right, 4 boxes of mystery tackle box. Just drop a comment down below and let me know that you'd like to try a mystery tackle box. We're gonna pick 4 winners. And here's why mystery tackle box is so cool, guys. Each month, this box will show up at your house full of really cool baits. Brand name stuff, Guggen Squad, Guggen Baits, the list goes on and on every month. And it kind of, for me, it kind of challenges me because every time I open the box up, there's things in there that kind of like spark my interest. I'm like, okay, I've never really tried that particular kind of spinnerbait or that particular worm or that particular punch bait or whatever it may be. And I go out and I play with it and I catch fish on it and it's really cool. And it allows me to kind of build up my tackle. Each month I'm kind of adding to my tackle. So it's a really cool idea. It's a really cool gift, of course. And all you have to do to save, if you do want to subscribe to this and get it each month, is use the code in the description. They actually just changed the discount. It's a bigger discount than we had before, so check it out, mystery tackle box. Enough of that, let's get to the fishing tip. February. February is the time of the year, especially again in the Southeast, where fish are starting to really think about the spawn, the spring. They're getting ready to move back in the creeks. They're getting ready to position themselves. The water's still cold. They're not real active, and you need a reaction bite. And so something that I've been throwing a lot down here in Florida especially is a chatterbait. Chatterbaits work really well. This is one I had rigged up. DC, Dustin Connell, was actually fishing with this exact chatterbait just a few days ago. We did Guggen Week. And this is the rod, 15-pound fluorocarbon, a favorite Rush Series 7.3. It's a 1/2 ounce. That's a jackhammer there. But look what's on the back. Beautiful green pumpkin blue, saucy swimmer as the trailer. And just fishing it slow. The tip that I can give you with a chatterbait this time of the year is to slow down. I've caught a lot of big fish on a chatterbait, and it seems like every time I think back at any time I've caught a big one, it's when I've slowed that thing down a little bit. So I'm usually targeting areas that are say 3 feet to say 6 feet deep with the chatterbait, but I'm gonna throw it out there. I'm gonna either let it sink all the way down to the bottom or to maybe the top of the grass if there's some submerged vegetation there. And I'm just gonna creep it back. You know, if there's no submerged vegetation, just get it close to the bottom. And as I'm reeling that thing along, guys, I'm basically just stopping it every once in a while, kind of letting it hit stuff. I want it to bang into whatever's down there, whether it's grass or rock, a stump, just the bottom itself, just to kind of give a little different action. You know, it kind of makes the bait deflect a little bit. And just fish it slow. So it's a slow to medium retrieve only, not a medium to fast retrieve. I've seen people make the mistake with throw chatterbait out there and they're just really getting in a hurry, fishing it fast, and you just don't get the bites. The thing's, it's vibrating too quick, you know, because this thing emits a vibration. And that frequency of that vibration is what sometimes will key that fish in, right? Look, the bait looks the same in the water. It's vibrating through the water and shimmying. But that compression from that blade, that shock, that thump from the blade is either a faster thump, a slower thump, or whatever. So find that little cadence that they like. So as you're reeling it along and you start getting bites on a chatterbait, remember that retrieve. That's so important with a chatterbait. So I like a swimbait trailer like this most of the time when I'm trying to get it down deep. That's a single tail swimbait, obviously. It allows that bait to get down deep. I like 15-pound fluorocarbon when I'm fishing open water. If I'm fishing real thick grass, like here on Okeechobee a lot of times, I will throw, 50-pound P-line X-braid. A little tip for you is, of course, you can put the Swimbaits on it. This is the Guggen Baits one. Awesome bait right here. You can also put on a trailer like this Rattle and Chunk, okay? This Rattle and Chunk works great on a chatterbait. I'll tell you why. It's got 2 legs. Obviously gonna lift that chatterbait up a little bit. So you're gonna be able to keep it a little higher above the grass, a little higher off the bottom. If you're around some sticky stuff like logs and sticks and you're not wanting to like roll into the grass or get stuck in a log or under a dock, throw a twin tail. It keeps the bait upright. It keeps it from rolling over as much, right? A single tail swim bait, it's wiggling through the water, and as it hits something like a log, it a lot of times will roll the hook into the log and you're stuck. Roll it into the edge of the dock, roll it into whatever, a rock, dock, logs, whatever, even grass like cattails. It'll roll it into the grass. With the double tail, it holds it upright a little more, right? But those 2 legs have a lot of resistance in the water. They move a lot of water. We have that patented design here on these flanges on the legs, and it keeps that bait from rolling all the way over, okay? Those 2 legs hold it upright, so it's gonna come through the sticky stuff a lot better. So keep that in mind, depending on where you're fishing. If I'm just trying to get it down deep, open water, light grass, kind of smooth bottom, I'm gonna throw a swim bait. If I'm in sticky stuff, I'm gonna throw a double tail trailer like that. Now, you may have to slow it down just a tad bit more because those 2 legs are gonna create a little bit more lift than the swim bait. So that's that, 1/2 ounce, 3/8, pretty much my size that I go with. I don't fish very many times lighter than that or much heavier than that. So that is a really good bait. 52, all the way up to 65, 70 degrees if you get the water temperature, but they'll bite a chatterbait. That's, like this time of the year when we go to these lakes, like, Palatka next week and Harris Chain, the water is gonna be in the 60s, low 60s. Chatterbait's gonna be in my hand a lot, okay? Now, let's move on to the next one. All right, another bait right here is a jig. It's the time of the year these fish will start munching a jig really good, and here's why. In February and March, the water starts to warm, obviously. It's coming out of January and December when it's really cold. The crawdads will start to move. That's the time of the year crawdads move, and they come out of their holes and they start crawling around the rocks. As the rocks start to warm up, they'll come out and crawl. The bass know that. They get in on a feeding deal. They love eating the protein of the crawdads. So they'll get on a really good crawdad bite. You can imitate that with a crankbait as well, but the jig is hard to beat. I like a heavy jig this time of the year. I'm not trying to finesse them. I'm not trying to do like a light thing. I'm trying to just be down and dirty, basically. This is a 1/2 ounce. Sometimes I'll even throw a 3/4 ounce, depending on what I'm doing. And I'm just gonna target rocky shelf banks, like back in creeks or main arms of creeks, where the fish may stage up before they move to spawn. This is like, a month before they're gonna move back and spawn. They're gonna start staging on some rocky points or like channel swing turns, transition banks, which if you watched my tip video that we did not too long ago on transition banks, really good explanation of what a transition bank is. So we'll drop right here. Just, click that thing when we're done here and watch that video. Maybe, hopefully, Okay, back to that. Heavy jig, 1/2 ounce, 3/4. I like green pumpkin, a little red, a little orange in it like we have here. This is a thick jig by Guggen Squad. This is in collaboration with Ketchco. Ketchco's doing an amazing job, guys, building all kinds of lures, and they've just knocked it out of the park with, I know Justin Rackley had a lot to do with this particular jig right here. Lots of great things about it. I've caught a lot of fish on the jig. It's a well-made jig. It's just a good, solid, everything about it is they hit it out of the park, okay? That being said, I like that one right there. I've got it rigged up on a Kraken crawl. This is a watermelon red. Obviously, it kind of matches. That's just a really good setup. Line size with this is gonna be anywhere from 15 to 20 pound line, depending on where you're fishing. If I'm fishing it down a step of shoreline, like a steeper 45 bank, and I'm trying to, let's say it's a short cast, I'm like making a 45 cast up to the bank, and I'm literally casting this jig a lot of times in like 1 or 2 foot of water. I'm not planning on getting a bite there, but I want it to settle, and then I kind of stair step it down the rocks at an angle, not straight out to me, kind of to 45. So if this is the ledge, guys, okay, I'm not gonna throw straight in and have my jig come straight off this way. I want it to stair step like this at an angle. It just keeps it in the strike zone a little bit longer, allows it to walk it down those banks. So I will go to lighter line, because I don't want the heavy line, like 20-pound line, for example, will lift your bait and it makes your bait glide more and come off the rocks, and then you don't hit bottom as much. Say with 15-pound line, you can walk it down that bank a little bit better. So you got to kind of pick your poison there. If it's a shallower, flatter bank, you can get away with 20, no problem. But again, if you're stair-stepping it down those transition banks, a lighter line, believe it or not, is the way to go on that. Rod, 7.3 heavy. I mean, you're gonna hear this a lot out of me on these tips because this is one of my favorite ones. It's a favorite rod, Rush series. And you know, this is the fluorocarbon, obviously by P-Line. So that's pretty much it on the jig deal. Again, this is something that you're gonna wanna keep in your hand this time of the year, especially as that water temperature starts to get up in that 55-degree temperature. That's when those crawdads start to think about coming out, and that gets, you can win tournaments on this right here in little 50-yard stretches on those transition banks. You know, this time of the year, rattle traps are real good, especially with that water temperature in the 50s and 60s. These fish will start, you know, getting ready. You look at my box right here. That's a lot of lipless crankbaits, guys. I have everything from Azuris to Sabiles to big Strike Kings. Got the Guggen Squad lures. They're lipless right here, this is a good one in Florida. It's actually a really good color because gold is pretty popular here in the state of Florida, especially around that hydrilla. And Guggen Squad, Ketchco, of course, they did an awesome job on this one. So it has that gold, but just a little bit of chrome, a little bit of chartreuse. I mean, it's like really, really matched well. Like it's just a good color. You know, that bait right there, 15-pound line. I talked about rattle traps in one of the previous months, but you know, you get around that new grass, like if there's a little bit of hydrilla starting to pop up in your lake, or a flat, you know, warming flat bank, main river. Like if you live around spotted bass, you can get on those like chunky pea gravel flat points and stuff with on like a warm cold day, like a cold day that's warming up, and you can catch them on that, especially if you see bait. You know, see seagulls and stuff flying around, loons in the water. You know, a lipless crankbait is absolutely a killer this time of the year. A lot of tournaments in the South are won on a lipless crankbait in February. So just keep that in mind, especially gold. You go back and look at all the past tournaments won. A lot of times it's a gold lipless crankbait. So you need to check that one out. This is a 1/2 ounce, again, by Guggen Squad Lures in collaboration with Ketchco. Good hooks, you know, just all around pretty sweet little deal there. The other thing is, speaking of crankbaits, we're talking about shallow stuff. This is where, here's one right here. Here's 2 of them actually. You want to keep them honest on your big deep diving stuff. You live on Gunnersville, you live on a lake or river system, those fish are going to get out there in that 15, 20-foot range. They're going to slide up on some rocks, some hard bottom shell beds, stuff like that. Deep diving crankbaits can be the deal. Biggest tip I can give you on this crankbait bite is to fish the right size line. A mistake that I see a lot of people make is, and I want to show you this little bag too. I'm always trying to organize stuff different each year. So we're trying new boxes this year. We're doing some different things. And I've always, like, I usually have my line just laying in my center box of the Skeeter. And I was like, you know what? So Bass Mafia had this bag. I don't even know what they call it, but it's this big red bag. And I thought that might be a cool deal. I could put like whatever in there, right? Check this out, guys. Right there it is. So I can put all my 1,000-yard spools of P-line right in here and keep this in my boat or in my truck. I have room for really 7 of them. I could probably put 8. Probably put 8 in here. I think I put 8. Yes, I think I can. 8 1,000-yard spools, which covers me across the board on all my fluorocarbon. Now, getting back to what I was going to say is crankbait, the mistake I see a lot of people make is they fish the wrong size line. So 10 and 12-pound line is my go-to. There's 10 right there. It's one of those two, typically on a deep diving crankbait. If I'm really trying to get down there and hit the bottom hard, you know, and say 15, 17 feet, I'm going to throw 10 strictly. You know, open water type deal. It's just gonna get down there. Like at Gunnersville, when I caught those big bags of fish at Gunnersville last year in May, I was throwing a crankbait like this, and I was throwing 10 and 12-pound line. Never broke a fish off. No, I mean, I've done it at Kentucky Lake. I've caught 20-pound bags in tournaments at Kentucky Lake fishing 10-pound line. So believe it or not, you can get by with 10. Now, if you need to, you can stretch it out to 12. The good thing about the tactical is it is a little thinner than your typical 12. So this fishes a lot like everyone else's 10 for the most part. So 10 or 12 on that is my go-to on the crankbait bite. Now, when it's cold, in the summertime, I usually crank these crankbaits pretty fast, and I'm trying to bang them into the bottom, trying to get a reaction. I'm reeling it fairly quick. In the wintertime, I do what I call a stop and pull technique. And it's where I'll make that long cast out there to that area, and I'm gonna reel it down, kind of quick till I get it to the bottom. When I get it to the bottom and this bait's digging, I'm gonna slow it down a touch, quite a bit actually. I'm gonna really just try to feel everything that is rolling over. I want to feel a rock that's rolling over. I wanna kind of just feel every little movement that it makes. And then I'm gonna stop it every once in a while, like maybe every 10 cranks, I'm gonna stop it for a second and let this bait float back up and then go again. A lot of times when the water's cold, when you stop it and it floats backwards, that's when they'll bite it. Here's what I think's happening. I haven't had a camera. It'd be nice to put a camera on one of these things, but you know, one of two things. Either you're stopping it right where a fish is sitting, but a lot of times I think because you're creeping it kind of slow, I think those fish are tracking it a lot of times, but they're not real sure how to like get it. When you stop it and it will float backwards a little bit, they'll bite it. Kind of floats back at them. And so that's a little what I call the stop and pull technique. So again, I'm reeling, stop it, and I'll pull it. And then let it float up, and then reel again. I'm feeling it come through, pull it, stop, and boom. A lot of times that's when they get it. So that's just a little bit of a different technique than your standard cast it out and burn it back across the bottom. So guys, we could sit here all day and talk about different lures that work. Again, February is an awesome time. Get out there and fish, have some fun. Also, before I leave, a huge shout out to Decked. This is the in-bed truck storage system that I've had in the back of my truck forever. Awesome drawers here. I can keep all my tackle. Again, we're gonna organize this thing. We're gonna pack everything up. We've got the leer locker. We're gonna do everything in the back of this truck. But for more information about Decked, obviously there's links in the description down below as well. They make a great product, and they make it for just about every truck out there on the planet. They've got all kind of the cool little things coming out too. So it's a really innovative design. It keeps all your stuff organized, keeps it safe and secure in the back of your truck, and I couldn't say more about it. So listen, the 2022 season is starting. We're heading to Palatka. We're gonna film everything. Season 2 of Unfinished Family Business is gonna start this next week, and I'm gonna pour every bit of energy that I have into this season. We're gonna try to pull off something special. I'm gonna have some fun this year, guys. I'm not counting points this year. I'm just gonna go out and we're just gonna have fun. We're gonna see what happens. We're gonna challenge ourselves, and I thank you for the support. If you haven't followed us already, be sure to smash that subscribe button, because guys, the support that you give me is what drives me out there on the water. So I appreciate all the support. We'll see you. Bam!